What's up, Micah? Appreciate you checking in. Appreciate you checking in, Joanna. Appreciate you. I see you, Liliana. 05. Checking in. Appreciate you all checking in. Appreciate you checking in. We got a great show tonight. Appreciate you all checking in. Great show tonight. We got my man Harold coming in the building tonight. We have a great show tonight. Appreciate all of you checking in. Drop in the comments where you're from. I love hearing where you're from. Hey, Kuzar 8, I appreciate you in the gym hoops. Please drop in the comments where you're from. You know we love hearing where you're from. We have them from California to Georgia in the building always. So please leave in the comments where you're from. We want to hear where you're from. Like to know, I know in North Carolina. What part you in, Kuzar? What part? Everybody. Check in, let me know where you're from. We got a great guest tonight. I think y'all going to really enjoy. Redding, California is in the building. Portland, Oregon is in the building. I love my people out in Portland. Got to get out there. Redding, California, I appreciate you. Dunn, North Carolina is in the building. I appreciate you all checking in. Drop in the comments where you're from. Holly Springs, my man in Holly Springs. We got a great show. If you don't know your history of the infamous 5-star camp, then you really just don't know basketball like you think you do. We got a guy in tonight that is going to drop some history on you, that's going to drop some knowledge on you, that's going to give you some insight and let you know some behind-the-scenes things. There's so much to talk about with this guy. Great friend of mine, Harold Johnson. Appreciate y'all all checking in. I see you checking in. Appreciate you coming in. It's going to be a great show tonight. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be just a great guy. This guy's out of New York, very well known in the Queens, New York area. Just a great show. I'm excited to have him. Been knowing him a long time. Appreciate you checking in, Coach Sloan. Appreciate you being in the building for this one. We got a lot of people checking in. I see you all. S. Bruce Scotter, I see you checking in. I appreciate it. I think you're going to enjoy the show tonight with Mr. Harold Johnson. He has a lot of knowledge. He has a lot of history, and probably give many of you insight on the 5-star camp, which has been very popular, very popular and very well known. So we're definitely looking forward to having him in the building. And we're going to bring him in like 1 minute or two. We're going to bring in Harold Johnson, Mr. 5-star, as we like to call him, a guy that I've known many years because of 5-star. Great guy with a lot of knowledge and a lot of history. But before I bring him in real quick, I want to talk a little bit about Thursday's show. This is a real, and hang on, Liliana, we're going to talk about 5-star, and you're going to learn a little bit about that. This show on Thursday is very special because I need you as a young person and parents and coaches, tag your young people and have them come into this show Thursday. We're going to have a lot of the young people talking Thursday and speaking about, the state of where America is, how it makes them feel. I've had live shows myself, visiting live shows, and I hear a lot of, adults talking about where we are right now and what needs to be done. This show Thursday is coming from the kids' perspective. The kids will be chiming in. The kids will be joining me in on my live. We have everything from middle school to high school to male, female, everyone chiming in and let these kids talk about what they're feeling and not telling them how to feel, but just letting them express how they feel. And Thursday night, I really am encouraging you to chime in and tag anyone you know that really needs to hear a great opportunity and outlet for these young folks. But tonight we have Mr. Harold Johnson, so we're going to go ahead and look at bringing Mr. Harold Johnson, and you guys really need to know who this is. I'm telling you, if you know anything about basketball, whether it's New York or whether it's North Carolina, this guy has a lot of knowledge. Let's bring Harold Johnson, Mr. Five Star, as I like to call him. Let's bring him in now. Harold Johnson.
Hey,
how you doing?
How
you doing, my brother? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm doing better now. Yeah. I'm talking to you,
right.
You know?
Hey, man, one of the things, I called you and told you, I wanted to check on you. That was a little while ago. And then,
right.
Oh, hold on one minute. So we're having a little technical difficulty here. So what we're going to do.
Got to straighten that out.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back here. This is what I love about live, man. This is what I love about live. We're going to go here.
Hey, man, I'm a little, my kid's mother was like, oh, you're a little nervous, but I'm okay now, I broke the ice.
Right. No, you good, man. You've always been a great guy. Like, there's, in this basketball thing, as well as I do, there's some good dudes and then there's some not so good dudes. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
forget about it.
you know what I mean? And I'll say, I've been knowing you now, man, it has to be at least, let's see. Now, it's been over 10 years. Yeah, it's been over 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been over 10 years. Because Quincy, I met you through, my nephew, Quincy Miller. He was playing with the Squires, T Squires. Shout out to T Squire, man. Playing with the T Squires, Richmond Squires, and then that had to be in 09. I think it was 09.
Stardew
Love came to that camp. Yep, another one of my kids out of Lumberton. Stardew Love surprised everybody because nobody knew who Stardew Love was. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he left with a name, and that's what you've been able to do over the years is just kind of, help people, put people on the map, and people that don't even know you knew them and that you had that influence. Like, you know what I mean?
Go on, man.
I mean, we're going to be real tonight. We're going to tell everybody. They're giving everybody else.
Hey, listen.
We about to give
I'm prepared. I'm prepared for this. And let me just say this before we even move on. George Floyd, the tragedy that happened to him, I just want to say that as a people, everybody, it's time for us to all come together now.
Right.
I want to, and I just want to put that out there that I want to thank the youth for their movement and the protesting and really getting out there and bringing awareness to the police brutality. And let's just make a change all over the world.
I'm glad you said that, Harold, because, I watched the funeral today, right? And of course, I've been watching the protests and so forth. But one reason I'm having the show Thursday night and it's all young people is because this feels like a real shift. It really feels like finally America is fed up. You know what I mean? It really feels that way. And
fed up around the world.
Around the world, man. To see them protesting in China and Korea, and man, it just really gives you a sense of hope. You know what I mean? Because our age, we've seen a lot. And we had to grow up. Almost scared of the police. You know what I mean? Like, I tell people all the time. When white folks, when they get see the police, they may get comfortable. They feel comforted, at ease. All my life, even as a successful businessman, to this day, you got to understand this. To this day, when a police officer gets behind me, I know my license good. I know my registration good. I know I'm as clean as a whistle. But you still get a little nervous at how things can go south quick. You know what I mean?
Yes, you can.
You know what I mean? And you know what? True story. I ain't told nobody this, but you may not believe this, but when I was 11 years old, you know, my family's from New York, Brooklyn, right? So
That's right.
yeah, so every summer
Well, I'm a New York country boy.
Right,
So my mother and father both from North Carolina. So let's clear that up.
So we got it both ways. But every summer I used to stay in Coney Island, right? I used to stay in Coney Island. The first gun that I've ever had pointed at me, right? I was 11 years old in Ocean Towers, right? Off Surf Avenue in Coney Island. It was by the police at 11 years old. So,
it's a rough place, Coney Island. It's rough.
Yeah.
Rough right now.
Yeah, no question. So, you know, when you think about at an early age how that scarred you, you know what I mean? Like, you know, those type of things. But you know, like you said, hopefully, man, we got a better start going, and so many people are making moves. I'm glad you brought that up, man. And for those
before I don't want to leave out, you know, I want to give thanks to the Creator. I wanted to thank God for keeping me around and having me in so many young people's lives through basketball, because basketball saved my life. And also the 5-star basketball camp family. Howie Garfinkel, may he rest in peace, Mr. Will Klein, Lee Klein, Matt Pajanik, Tobin Anderson, Mike Patello. There's so many other coaches that I can go. UB Brown, who was part of the first 5-star basketball camp. He brought some players from Jersey. Marv Kessler, who coached my brother. The whole 5-star family. I mean, you know,
we had a couple people ask who 5-star is, so we're gonna get into that. But before we get into 5-star, I want them to know who Harold Johnson is. Now, you grew up in Jamaica, Queens, right? So,
yes, I grew up in Jamaica, Queens, off of Linden Boulevard, right behind the Rib Shack. It's anybody that knows about New York and Queens, Jamaica, the Rib Shack is like, you know, that's like holy ground, right? And I grew up between 2 projects, Baisley Projects and 40 Projects. So when I came out the house, I had an option to go to Baisley and an option to go to 40. But I learned about playing basketball in Baisley Projects for the Jamaica Trotters by a guy named Dave Hargroves. And then, of course, we all know that both projects was considered to be one of the most dangerous in New York City, having a police officer being murdered, Edward Burns, and all of that stuff. But that's for another story. But however, God made a way for me to get to the 5-star basketball camp by my brother, Ronnie Johnson, who was the first MVP at this camp in 1966, when Mr. Klein and Howie Garfinkel put together the camp to bring black and white kids together. Now, people don't know that, but it's the truth. Mr. Klein told me this out of his own mouth.
Really?
That the whole object was to bring black kids and white kids together. Back in that time, the segregation was going on, and it was really rough. So, you know, my brother, unknown, played for Martin Van Buren High School. Mark Kessler, a great coach, brought my brother there with about maybe 8 of his high school players. And in the camp at that time, it was a guy by the name of John Roach and Tom Owens, white players, who was back then, you know, I mean, John Roach was, forget about it, played for South Carolina. He'll give it to you.
Right.
And my brother was just a junior at that time and unknown. So I can remember him telling me, this is my brother, who I idolized. You know, everybody said, oh, I idolized my brother. He told me that Marv Kessler said to him, they got a camp called 5-Star, Roy Rubin. He said, well, I don't have it. My mother and father's poor. I'm not ashamed to say that. He said, well, I can get you in the camp if you wash dishes. He said, man, I ain't gonna wash no dishes. He said, look, you're gonna go to this camp because it's, you know, it's a good thing for you. So anyway, he comes to the camp. He washed the dishes. He set the table up for the players that paid money to come to the camp.
Really?
And somehow, this came out of Mr. Klein's mouth. My brother was voted the MVP of the camp, beating out John Roach and Tom Owens.
Wow.
And now here's a part of history for the viewers there tonight listening. He's the first black man to win that award. So for all you 5-star campers that's out there listening, if you ever went to 5-star, there's an MVP list. And at the top of that list, it says Ron Johnson. Underneath, you got Moses Malone, you got John Roach, you got Ron Artest, you got Michael Jordan, the list goes on. You got John Wall. All of these guys are on that list. Isaiah Thomas. I mean, I can go on and on. However, when you think about the 5-star basketball camp and what it has done for the game, it's still considered the best teaching camp in the world. Still, today. And I have seen them all there, from Coach K, Calipari, I mean, you name it, I've seen them all. It's just a great experience that helped me because I was going through some things in my life. And Mr. Garfinkel said, you know what, Harold? Stay here with us, work the camp, and go to North Carolina. And it's going to be hard, but I want you to get players to come to camp so we can help them develop their game. I want to give a shout out right now to some guys down in Charlotte. Charlotte Monarchs, Dow Rankin, Ken Perry, Rod Seifert. This goes on here.
Yeah, I know them cats.
Sergeant Kerry from the Charlotte Nets. It was a good program, by the way. Malcolm Sanders, his father passed away. Rest in peace.
Yes, yes.
Dale Curry, the Charlotte Stars. The Charlotte Stars actually, they had a great program. And those guys really put together some good basketball players. Now, Lamont, you can attest to this. I used to go back to New York and tell the guys in New York, I say, listen, those guys down in Carolina, they're tough, man. They run, they shoot it, and they never get tired,
Right.
They never get tired, So one of the first players who I recruited to go to camp was I'm gonna give a little shout out to some of the guys: Jeffrey Worley, K.C. Rivers, Eric Mena, John Wall, Stephen Curry, who I personally recruited, Demir Pitts, my son Corey Johnson, Dominique Reed. Shout out to my man Renaud Dixon from the Charlotte Stars, who gave me an opportunity to actually, this picture right here, the train that was 2000. Charlotte Stars, women and under, state champions. They went on to take the nationals. So give a shout out to him for giving me an opportunity. Let me tell you the story about, Charles Dewhurst. Can't leave him out. His father, Mr. Dewhurst, gave me the idea about doing the actual documentary. But let me tell you the story about Stephen Curry.
Okay. Mr.
Garfinkel, we was in Pittsburgh, in Moon Township. That's the home of John Calipari, who's the Robert Morris person. And it was Steph's going into his junior, senior year. And he said, Harold, come here. Walked over to him, and he said, I want you to go to Charlotte. I said, yes, Mr. Garfinkel. I mean, I want you to go find Dale Curry. I want you to call me when you're with her. So I said, what's going on? He said, I don't like what's going on with Stephen's his recruiting. And at that time, they were saying he was too small, they were saying that, wasn't strong enough. But they was overlooking that he had his father's stroke.
He had his father's shot, yeah.
Right. So I come down to Charlotte, because in 90, I moved to Charlotte and was married to Carol, two beautiful kids, Corey and Nikki. Oh man, I can't complain. So I go to Dale, and at that time they was finishing up the Bobcat. So I go to Dale. Dale was sitting there. He said, Harold. Yeah, by the way, Dale's a great guy. Go to Dale, we're talking, and I said, Dale, Mr. Garfinkel wants me to call him when I'm with you. He said, go ahead, call. I said, Mr. Garfinkel. He said, Harold, put Dale on the phone. He knew I was with him. And Dale,
because he told you don't call him until you say Dale.
Listen, so I give Dale the phone. So him and Dale talking, and Dale says, Dell said, well, listen, I want him to come to the elite camp, which was in August up in the middle of nowhere. Bears, Coyotes, you name it. It was Homesdale. Top of the line players there. He said, well, Dell said, well, I'll send him with Harold. Just have somebody pick him up at the airport. So another player from Charlotte Latin, Charles Dewhurst, was another good player. I mean, his father actually wrote Dear America, Letter Home from Vietnam, Richard Dewhurst. Great guy, loved the family. So they picked Steph up from the airport, him and Dewhurst. And at that time, it was raining. And like these old bunks, like, so, Steph looking around, he's looking around, him and Dewhurst. I said, listen, it's raining, but you're going to play some games. So I remember every time he played, all the kids would stop what they were doing and come to the gym just to see him release. Like he was at that thing going. So after his recruiting thing kind of down, we thought that, Mr. Garfinkel was like, oh, Virginia Tech, Seth Greenberg should give him a chance.
Right.
And he didn't recruit him. And I don't know what happened, but he got fired from there. But I don't know if that was the reason.
Not saying that had anything to do with it. You just said.
Yeah. So he goes to Davidson to kill up, and I think he takes his team to the Elite 16, whenever the case may be. But his work ethic, I mean, he never stopped working. He never stopped working. So, that was a very, for me, a moving moment, because I'm going around and I'm like, I'm telling guys, about him. And of course, his father's Del Curry, so there's not really nothing to say. But you know how coaches are. They got their little notes, they're writing down stuff on it. So the rest is history.
And you're trying to tell them about one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, but nobody will listen. I actually seen Steph at the sneaker launch party when they had the All-Star game in New York, and he was on the stage with Jamie Foxx and all this, right? So the guy said, well, listen, you can ask him questions, and Steph answered. So he looked, and I said, yo, and he said, I can't believe my eyes, Coach Johnson. And he jumped off the stage, hugged me, and then they got him out of there.
Right.
But
that's because you're the legend, man. You're the legend. Everybody, they don't understand who we talking to right now. That's why I wanted them to know. However, now, but you had, as you mentioned earlier, Ron was your, big influence, So tell us a little bit about Ron, why he was important to you, and what ultimately derailed him off of being that same Moses Malone's, list of kids that went to 5-star.
It's funny you mentioned Moses Malone. In this book right here, Ron Johnson and Moses Malone was the best ever to play at 5-star. Just come out of Mr. Garfinkel's mouth.
Really?
Yes. Both sides of the game. And I have it behind me. This is my brother who took the first pro team, 1966. My brother lived 2 lives. Okay? And he was a basketball player during the day, and at night he straddled the fence and he made some mistakes. In 1969, after being at Gardner Webb with Artis Gilmore, he got homesick. He came home, and within 48 hours he was shot up in a robbery. Lost a kidney, a lung, a finger. Went to prison. While he was in prison, this came out of his own mouth. And this is going to come out in the documentary. You'll hear it from his own mouth. It's like maybe a 45-minute piece where he talks to a high school team about his life, coming from a family that's poor. So he gets to prison. He heals. And he said, after being shot 7 times, it seemed like his game got better. So they had a prison team that would play against colleges from the outside. So a guy by the name of Paul Baker remembered my brother. And he went to Wheeler University and got him a scholarship and got him a pardon out of prison. Now come on.
Really?
When you in prison and you're still averaging 40 points a game, 30 points a game,
Right.
Still dunking, and so they set it up for him to go to Wheeling, which was NAIA school. So things didn't work out. He didn't get there. Excuse me. But I really looked up to my brother because of the both sides of the game thing, and I wanted to take his story through 5-star and show kids that you can't do both. That's why it's both sides of the game. Either you're going to do the right thing, and if you do the wrong thing, you know what's going to happen. You're going to end up in jail, or you're going to, possibility not breathing anymore, and then you're going to hurt your family. So I always tell kids, I tell them his story, I tell them my story, because I also was a high school basketball player. I wasn't great. See, I don't lie on my game. Some of the guys, I did this.
Right.
Pull out the scrapbook, right?
Right.
I may have had maybe 3 or 4 articles. All right.
Right.
But I was coachable. I was a guy that came and sat right next to the coach, knowing I wasn't going to get no run, and the coach said, "Al, move down." But I was a team player. So when I got invited to 5-star by a man named Mr. Bird, his son, Chris Bird, was a soccer player. Charlotte, North Carolina. He played for Providence. And we're going back now. I didn't have an opportunity to get to the camp. And he got a ticket for me, and he flew me there. And I didn't know how Mr. Garfinkel looked, so I'm standing in Robert Morris University, and one of the coaches, Jacob Jonas is his name, great friend of mine. I walked up to him. I said, "Listen, my name's Harold Johnson. I'm Ronnie Johnson's brother, and I don't know how Mr. Garfinkel looked." So he said, "Wait a minute, you Ronnie Johnson's brother? Are you kidding me?" So it was a big tent. They called it the golf dome. So he walked over to Golf sitting there. He got yellow pants on and a white shirt, and he whispered in his ear, and all I seen Golf do was like that. Turned around, said, "Wait, bring him over." So he brings me over. He said, "You're Ronnie Johnson's brother. Where you been all this time? We give out an award in his name. Where you staying?" I said, "Well, I'm staying at the Holiday Inn." He says, "No, you're staying with me." So they put me in a room right next to him. Little did I know, I got a clipboard under the door and a 5-star shirt, and he put me right to work with Coach Janik. I was teaching my first station with Coach Janik. Shout out to him. And I started talking to him about what I wanted to do about a documentary, and also my life. My life changed once I got to camp, because I wasn't around the street. Like I said, I come from a really, really rough neighborhood in Jamaica, Queens, really rough. Right now, it's still rough. They talk about gun violence. Gun violence hasn't stopped. Let's be clear. I mean, in Chicago, you name it. Guns are a big, 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 big problem in America with our youth. So what the camp did for me, it helped me get myself in tune with teaching basketball and recruiting. Bob, showed me how to recruit and what to look for. Donnell Mack with the Memphis. Shout out to Anthony Morrow. These guys all know me. Great players. So William Graves, like these old Carolina guys, Chris Paul. Omar Carter, who was, by the way, Omar, shout out to you. Haven't heard from you, but shout out to you.
No, Omar spoke at my very first event. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Omar, I remember Mr. Garfinkel gave him the most promising prospect award. And LeBron James has that. Most guys that get that award, they wind up in the NBA. So, the camp it just gave me a outlet. You know what I mean? And like I said, if it wasn't for my brother, I would have never known about 5-star. And my brother, may he rest in peace, he passed away in '96. Without him knowing, he placed himself in history by winning that MVP, beating out John Roach and Tom Owens at that time. Who would ever thought that the greats, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, come on, Carmelo Anthony, John Wall, all these guys, all 5-star campus.
Right.
I got a short. You'll like this one. I got a short one about when I met Michael Jordan. At that time, Michael had put his son in camp, Jeffrey. So golf was like, oh, I want everybody to just be kind of quiet. Like I don't want everybody to know he's on campus. So he said, Harold, I want you to pick him up down the hill. So Jordan comes, get in the golf cart. I'm driving, and I will never forget this. Night stations at 5-star is unbelievable. Station 13.
Right.
I mean, it's at nighttime. Balls are moving. Brendan Brown actually was doing the night station. I remember Station 13. So Jordan, I pull up right on the court with Jordan in the golf cart and Mr. Garfinkel, and all the coaches was hanging around the fences, right? So Golf said, leave him alone. He wants to watch his son. Now, Station 13, anybody know about Station 13?
Yes.
It's intense.
Yes.
And, I mean, you work your behind off.
Right.
Okay? You work your behind. And he was sitting there, Jordan had on, I don't know what color Jumpman suit it was, but I can tell you this much. Man, it was lightning.
Right.
He's watching his son, Jeffrey, do the Station 13. And a couple of coaches was behind the fence. And it's like, hey, Mike, why you don't support AAU? Now, I remember this clear as day. Right? So he didn't say nothing. George's cool. So he didn't say nothing. He's sitting there. He said, Mike, your son play AAU. Why you don't support AAU? Yo, he did like this. He looked over at him. He said, you see this camp? This camp should be full every session. It should be sold out, because this is what the kids need to learn, the fundamentals. So until you do that, until you can, all you coaches asking me these questions, until you can fill this camp up, then we'll talk about, AAU. So I'm sitting there, I ain't say one word. Right? I'm sitting there, So something said, ask him a question about, so I said, Mike, do you know a guy by the name of Malcolm Sanders? Malcolm? He said, Malcolm, yeah, from Charlotte. It's my man. I said, yeah, my son played for, he recruited my son for the Charlotte Stars. Corey Time said, Malcolm's a good guy. So we ride down the hill. Now this right here, I wish somebody would have videoed it. Now you're talking 520 campus. They're all over the course doing drills. When we pulled out with the golf cart, Jordan's here, golf, and I'm driving, and anybody know about Robert Moore, it's just a hill. It just goes down like this here. The kids just said, forget about Stacey. All of them got behind the golf cart and followed Mike down to the bottom of the hill. Driving. Mike goes down to the bottom of the hill, gets out, gets into a van, and all the kids, so golf said, go back to your stations. We ain't finished, golf is crazy. So the next day, I'm at the cafeteria. Now this right here is one for Hollywood. I'm at the cafeteria. I'm outside with about maybe 9 coaches. We all talking. Who's the best in the camp? Talking about Mike's son. We just discussing stuff.
Right.
I see a guy get out and he's walking, but I know his walk. I said, that's Mike. So he came right up to me. For some reason, I don't know. He said, listen, I want to go inside before I go and say, speak to Mr. Klein and Mr. Garfinkel, right? He said, but I don't want the kids to go crazy. I said, listen, I'm the head counselor here. Kids are not going to go crazy. I'll walk you in. I said, but you're in for a treat. He looked at me, I said, Coach K is in there. What are we union? So I opened the door, hold the door for him. So all you guys are trying to make up your story about you bought Jordan in the cafeteria. No, I did. All right, let's get that clear.
Right.
I opened the door. He walks in. 520 campers in the cafeteria. And remember, I run the camp. I'm the security. So the kids look. So Simi, he's from Israel. He was standing by the door. And he said, he's returned to his birthplace. That's what Simi yelled out. I walked Jordan around to the table. Now, Coach K is there. So, you know, all the kids are like, right? They didn't get up. They didn't run up. So they talking. And he didn't stay long. He gave them the wave, you know, right? I said, you ready? You know what the kids did?
What's that?
They stood up and all started clapping. Somebody's got that video somewhere, and I want it. They stood up and they just clapped. As me and Mike walked out, there was the coach, Terry Keita from South Africa, Cape Town. He was standing out by the door. The other coaches were just like, Mike, you know, and I said, Mike, I gotta ask you something. Did you ever hear about y'all talking about a player that was supposed to have been the best player in the camp? He said, I remember a guy, but I don't know his name. He got in some trouble. I said, that's my brother, Ronnie Johnson. That's what he was talking about. I said, listen, I'm doing a documentary on his life, of how he made some mistakes, how to get his life together. I said, would you be willing to even, you know, if you speak about it, saying that you remembered it? And he looked at me and he said, if God says it's okay, now this is how powerful God was.
Right, right.
He said, if God says it's okay, I'll do it. So I said, wait, I'm old school. Give me that hand.
Right, right.
He shook my hand, right? And the coach from South Africa was right there. I said, Mike, I know you don't take pictures, but, you know, my son and daughter would love this. And he says, okay. So the coach from South Africa said, wait, the people in the village, they want you, please let me get in. Mike said, no, let me get in. So we got in the picture, and all three of us took the picture. I walked him down to the van, and he said, it was a pleasure meeting you, man. And I said, Mike, thank you very much. So that story for me,
right?
That, you know, come on.
That's the pinnacle. That's the pinnacle right there. I mean, you had an intimate relationship there with Jordan for a little bit. But one thing I took from that was that, you know, everybody knew Ronnie Johnson, how good he was, and this and this and this. So you being a mentor has been important for you to give back to your community. Like one thing I know about you is you always doing, you know, positive things back in Jamaica, Queens, and you actually have an event that you do. You had
Tournament of Peace. Right. Actually, being with this coronavirus and everything, it's kind of. Last year I didn't do it because a kid named Amir Griffin, who's one of the kids in my program, was hit by a stray bullet in Baisley Projects. And excuse me.
Know that feeling, Coach. I know that feeling.
He was hit by a stray bullet, and he died on the court. And 2 weeks before that, 3 weeks, I was sitting at the chessboards, which is right where the bullet was fired. And he seen me. He said, "Yo, Coach, you don't do the tournament no more." I said, "Man, things got kind of rough." He said, "Well, can you train me? Can you still train me, Coach?" I said, "I tell you what. You meet me in the park at 7 in the morning tomorrow. We're gonna go." And he was there, him and 3 other guys. And I told him I was going to Benjamin Cardoza with Ron DeClario, a legendary coach up in New York.
Yeah.
Amir said, "I'm going there." But I never got a chance, and he never got a chance to play because his life was cut short because of gun violence. So I'm hoping that by you giving me an opportunity to share some things about my life in the Tournament of Peace, I'm hoping that somebody out there will get together and we need to sit down and do a Tournament of Peace across the country. Make it global to bring awareness to gun violence and youth-on-youth murders. We got to take this thing, you know, there's other things happening, the police brutality and all that, but we got to get a grip. We got to put our arms around our youth.
I'm with you. Well, let me just say, whatever you need from me, I'm just a phone call away, man. I live for what you're trying to do, and you know that's that's part of my purpose, man, is to try to, you know, give those things back, man. So anything you need from me, you know, I'm just saying, just let me know. You know what I mean? And I appreciate you being the brother you are, because you've done and helped so many people. And people don't understand, we're real passionate about this because, you know, Coach, I've often tell people, I've been to over a dozen funerals, you know, of kids 21 and under. And it doesn't get easy. You know, and it hurts each and every single time. And so that was the whole reason I'm even doing what I'm doing. So I commend you on giving that platform. And if there's anything I can do, just, you know, it's a no-brainer. Now, you know, you've been in 5-star, you've been there so long, and you had so much influence. And 5-stars kind of shifted a little bit from what it used to be. Now, you know, when you was bringing back, you know, all of those memories of all those camps and Station 13 and playing on the black tops, man. Do you think the culture shift with kids and parents and coaches not really pushing these kids? They like prima donnas. They don't want to get out. It's hot outside. It's this, it's that. You know, well, back then, it would be drizzling rain, and we're out there getting you.
Listen, I'm going to tell you what Mr. Garfinkel said, okay? And I was at his bedside when he closed his eyes. The next day, I came. The fundamentals, right? Golf, a lot of kids don't want to come to 5-star because we had our structure never changed. It's drills and games, and then back to drills. Nowadays, these kids, they just want to play, run up and down. But you got to learn the fundamentals. You got to. That's very important. And everybody complain about the foreigners, the kids, the European players, but they practice fundamentals. Yeah, we may have the best athletes and all of that, but still, you have to go to this, man. Yeah, this is a serious book. Yeah, it tells you about how UB Brown, how Bobby Knight, you know, how Chuck Daly made rest in peace. All these basketball minds came together and created the station. You know, these guys now, they want to play in gym all day. You gotta go outside. You gotta get that heat. I used to love watching Station 13 when the heat was going. Right. Like, listen, man, you guys, hey, Garfinkel one time, I mean, he tore into some guys. You know, because Station 13 wasn't mandatory, you know. So Garf said, well, I want to make sure you guys come to Station 13. So, you know, I just dropped Garf around. So I went up to the outdoor courts. Garf said, this is embarrassing. It was hot that day, like 97 degrees, so the kids were all ducking. So then the time came, Garf said, I just want you to know that out of 140 juniors or whatever was in the group, 30 of them came to Station 13. But don't worry about it. Tomorrow, all of you are going to be there. So get everybody out their room. He did not play Station 13. You had to be tough. Right. Listen to this. Chris Paul, his senior year, I was at Hampton City University in Farmville, Virginia. Chris Paul slept in that room. I slept in this room. I actually got a great picture. I couldn't find it. You know, Chris Paul wasn't no big guy. Right. He walked out of that camp with every award. And Garf said, it just came out of Garfinkel's mouth. He said, Chris Paul is going to be a Hall of Famer, an All-American. He's going to have a lengthy year in the NBA, lengthy time. Man, this guy walked away with everything. I remember I picked him up his senior year to come back. Picked him up in Greensboro. Mother dropped him off. Old Mother Carter was in the car, a couple of other guys, my son. And I picked him up and drove him. And we actually had to help him with his trophies, putting him in the car. He was, like, it didn't bother him. He didn't like playing outside. Right. Come on, man, the tough ones play outside. Right. Steph Curry, let me tell you, when he got the Homesdale, he was just looking at me. I'm like, yo, man, I'm in the middle of nowhere. You got coyotes, bears, you know, skunks. Like, but you know what? It groomed them. It got them ready for the next level.
Right.
Groomed them.
Right.
Got them ready.
Yeah.
But, you know, man, listen, I'm just thankful that you gave me this platform to come on tonight and talk about my life. I want to shout out my mother and father. I love you, Ma. You know, it's just,
No, I mean, man, you know, even for me, like people don't realize this, you know, Quincy Miller was discovered at 5-star. That's where
yes, he was.
That's where
yes, he was.
That's where he met Coach Pitts and went on. You know what I mean? Like,
yo, shout out Coach Pitts. Coach Pitts.
That's my guy. Like, you know, so what y'all did for me, even, you know, even coming back and, you know, bring it, you know, I had an opportunity to coach it at 5-star. And, you know, I brought kids like Charlton Townsend and all these kids. You remember Charlton Townsend? He was kind of heavy set kid, but he
kind of chunky.
Yeah,
he could go.
but he could jump out of the gym, and people just. It was kind of like a old school poor man's Zion. He could jump out of the gym, right, but he didn't have the body for it. But, you know, I think of all the people y'all influenced over the years, man, and people have forgotten just how man, it's, you know, like you guys paved the way for all these camps. You know what I mean? Like you did it the right way. You know, before everybody came in and looked at it as a money opportunity, it was actually a place where you could go and you had to compete. You had to learn fundamentals. And some of the best coaches to ever be in the game came through 5-star. I mean, like the list goes on and on when you think of all the coaches. The coaches alone make it legendary, you know?
Listen, let me tell you this. I got a city and state championship before Mr. Garfinkel passed away. And he was in the hospital. We was at the Nike tournament and he got sick. And Calipari came out to the car and said, Harold, take him to the hospital. Take him to the hospital. The next day they had to kick his door in and put him in the hospital. And I was sitting by his bed and I said, Garf, I wanna be a part of a high school team. I just don't, you know, I want to be a part of a good program. I want a city's championship. I want a state championship. And he said, you know, they had him sitting up in the bed. And he said, how's Tiny doing? I said, you know, Coach, he's working. He said, I want to see Tiny. Tiny Morton.
Tiny Morton over in Coney Island. Yeah.
And I called Tiny. I went to him. Tiny got a thing with going to see people in the hospital. And he requested to see him. And the next day I came, I said, well, Coach, he's tied up. And I said, I want to be a part of a program. I don't know what to do. Because at that time he was talking. It was okay. And he says, go with Tiny. Go with Tiny, Harold. He's a 5-star guy. Now, I forgot that Tiny Morton was a 5-star coach. So we went undefeated 3 years ago in the city, won the city easily. And then went to the state and beat Blue High, and that was.
But you was assistant on that squad.
Assistant.
Didn't know that.
I had a big kid named Othello Smith, 6'11".
Did not know that.
Well, let me tell you this. When Tiny couldn't make it, God died 2 days later. Calipari came. A couple people came to see him. When I came in the day before, he had stopped talking. And I walked in the room and I said, what's going on? Why you ain't talking? The doctor said, just, you know, calm down. I was like, you know, like the doctor said, just take it easy, sir. Just let it go. You know, like just, I came the next day and he passed away. But Mr. Garfinkel and Mr. Klein, those guys believed in me. As Garf told me, he said, Harold, you already a scout. I said, I want to go to the NBA, Garf. He said, you already a scout. You just ain't get hired. And somebody's going to give you an opportunity. And that was a few years ago, but they believed in me. You know what it is. When you believe in somebody, that means a lot.
It means a lot.
You know, somebody had to believe in you. Somebody had to believe in what you were doing.
Absolutely.
For you to push like you've been pushed. I've been knowing you a long time. And you've done a great job with just getting me recruited. And he just believed in me, man. And it did a whole lot for me. You know, it did a whole lot for me. A good friend of mine, I haven't heard from Rick Lewis. I remember Rick. I used to have Tyler.
Talked to Rick yesterday.
Kobe. Yeah, I used to have Tyler and Kobe working them out. And I remember Rick said, "You know what, Harold? I'm gonna start coaching." And Rick took that flight team and went on and won some things. Another good guy down there. I mean, all you guys, man. You know, all you guys do a great job. You know, like I said, I love the Carolinas. I raised my kids down there, and it's a great place. And you got some great basketball minds down there.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
No, it's funny you said that. I talked to Rick yesterday, and I told him you were going to be on the show, and he said, "Tell my guy Harold I said hello." You know how he talk. Yeah, he called me yesterday. But you know, before we let you go, man, it's almost been an hour already. That's how good things are. Like when you're telling some great stories, and I know people are going to eat this up. But before we go, now I know you love North Carolina because that's home. Away from home and so forth.
Hold up, Lee Klein. Lee Klein.
Yeah, I love.
And Miss Klein, his mother. Me and her birthday the same day.
Okay, Lee's a great guy. He helped me in some things when I had some kids as well, man.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just good to see those things. But before we let you go, right? We got to go through this. Like one time, you're a South Jamaica Queens guy, right?
No question.
No question. So today we're gonna play Trivia Tuesdays. Trivia Tuesdays, right? We're gonna play Trivia Tuesdays, and we're gonna figure out. We're gonna look at, you know, whether you know your people. If you know your people out of Jamaica, Queens, the whole borough, do you know who they are? All right. We're gonna figure out who they are. You know,
my people. I have a lot of people.
Right. So this first one I'm gonna read. It says she was born in Trinidad, right? She was raised in Queens. She's a Grammy Award winner, right? You ain't got it yet, huh? She's born in Trinidad. All right, let me give you another clue. She dated Safari and Meek Mill.
Oh, you're talking about Nicki Minaj.
There you go.
Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj. Way to go, old school. Way to go, old school. All right.
Question.
No, it's not Rihanna. It's Nicki Minaj. All right, here we go. It's not Riri. It's Nicki Minaj. Actually, all right, here we go. This guy's an NBA and reality star, right? He won 6th Man of the Year with the Lakers, right? And he married a Kardashian. Who we got?
Come on, man. That's my man from the side, Lamar Odom.
Lamar,
do that.
Lamar
Come
Odom.
on, man.
All right. You're doing good. Let's All right, here we go. Raised in South Jamaica, Queens. A Grammy Award winning rapper, right? He's also the leader of G Unit.
Talk about 50, man. Come on, man.
All right, man. Come on, man. You worried me a little bit, old school. Just worried me a little bit. All right, here we go. Here's one for you. He became president. He's a reality star, businessman, and he's an annoying asshole. From Queens. Come on, man. The first one out that got you became president.
He's annoying.
He's annoying as hell. Became president. He's a reality star, and he's a businessman.
You talking about Trump?
Gee whiz, you worry me, man. You worry me.
I don't want to say his name. How about that?
He's from Queens. All right.
Before I go, but go ahead, because I got some people I just wanted to say something to.
All right. It's a legendary hip hop group, all female, best known for Push It. Who you got?
Come on, easy. Salt and pepper. Take
Salt
it
and pepper.
easy.
Another Queens. Another Queens.
Yeah.
Another Queens. All right, here we go. We got another one. Street ball legend. You know, and one inspiration, right? From Cordova High School to the NBA. Who we got, Harold?
Come on, man. Rayford Austin. Skip to my Lou.
Skip to my Lou. Skip to my Lou. Yeah. All right, man. We only got 2 more left here. All right, don't let me down, man. It's a hardcore 90s rap group. They first signed to Jam Master Jay Records, and their hit was Slam. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on.
Slam?
Queens, stand up, man. Come on, man. Come on, old school. That was the 90s, too, man. You're supposed to be rocking to that.
Slam.
Oh, man. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let me get my fans helping me.
You got me.
Before we run out of time. All right.
They run DMC.
No, man. Come on. They ain't right Slam. They want 9. There you go. Everybody in the comments.
Onyx,
man. Onyx. All right. These are from Hollis, Queens. They legendary, and they starred in Crush Groove. Come on, man. Come on.
From Hollis, Queens.
Man, come on, man. You've been hollering their name for the last 10 minutes, Harold. Come on, man.
You talk about Run DMC.
Run DMC, old school. Come on, baby. Yeah. Yo, before I let you go, man, I want to tell you, I thank you for coming on, man, and dropping them jewels on everybody, giving them some history and some knowledge. We got like 2 minutes left. Anything you want to say before we go?
Trust God. Okay? He's going to take care of all this stuff we're going through. And I want to send a shout out to my son, Corey and Nikki. Corey is working on my life story. And, you know, I thank you for giving him an opportunity.
Yes,
also, Vince Walden in Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Let me see here. I got a good friend of mine who's got a hell of a soul food restaurant in the story of Queens.
Okay.
It's called Soul Out, man. You got to come up here. Brian McMichael.
All right. So check it. Next time I come to New York, I'm coming to see you. We're going to go to Soul Out. How about that?
Soul Out, baby. You got to come by.
One thing.
And also my kid's mother, Carol, did a great job with our kids. I'm so proud of them.
Appreciate that. Before you go, hold up that book and tell them how they can get it.
Listen, I got to be honest with you. These schools, I can try to reach out to Lee and find out. I got about 20 of them. I can give you my email address, both sides of the game at Gmail.
Yeah.
You can email me, and I can send you one.
All right. Sounds good. Well, there you have it, folks. We have the legendary, the one and only, my guy, been knowing him over a decade now, the Harold Johnson of 5 Star, Mr. 5 Star himself. Please take the time out to give my man a shout out, and they can find this on our IG so you guys can go back and get that knowledge. And Harold, I appreciate you, brother.
Thanks for having me.
No question. So there you have it. All right. There you have it. We had the legendary Harold Johnson, who just dropped stories about Stephen Curry and Michael Jordan and Moses Malone and Garfinkel, all of the legends in the game. So again, we want to thank him for coming. And before we get out of here, I want to remind you Thursday night to check in and join us for a live that is going to be really great. We want all of our youth, tag some youth, to join us this Thursday as we listen to the youth tell how they feel about how America is going on. That's this Thursday at 9 o'clock. We're moving to 9 o'clock for that show Thursday. And I need all of my young folks. You are the ones who are going to change everything in the future. You're the leaders of tomorrow. We want you to check in. I appreciate you again, and I'll see you all Thursday.